In the midst of the minted Helium miner release and frustration surrounding the insane number of pre-orders Calchip has accepted, it's easy to forget about our old friend Nebra. Nebra has been notoriously slow in delivering miners to customers since the beginning of this year and has been under fire for this in recent months. I personally canceled my own Nebra order because I was sick of the timeline getting pushed back month after month. More recently, an addendum has been proposed to HIP-19 to revoke Nebra's status as an approved miner manufacturer for the Helium network. But more interesting than that, the Nebra CEO himself actually commented on the addendum's GitHub page, coming to the defense of Nebra, of course. Let's take a look at what he had to say and some of the blows exchanged in the comments section in today's video. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here in the Crypto Compound channel. Thank you all so much for being here. Please hit the like button on the way in and subscribe if you have not already, if you want to stay up to date in the latest Helium news and analysis. In today's video, we are going to be discussing this addendum to HIP-19, which was suggesting the revocation of Nebra's approval as a Helium hotspot manufacturer. This happened a while ago, and since then we have seen the CEO of Nebra himself, Aaron Shaw, actually come on to GitHub here and comment underneath regarding this post about what some people have said. There's a lot to cover here, including some other very interesting things. For example, there's a lot of people on Twitter discussing his previously failed businesses. There's a lot of history here on his LinkedIn page that we'll touch on. And there's also this petition here that I'll put a link to in the description below. Now, before we jump into all of that, I wanted to take a quick look here at this developing structure on the HNT chart. It looks like we did turn around just before this bottom trend line here of this symmetrical triangle that is developing, and we are headed north. We are outperforming slightly, about even on the day, while many other smaller cryptos are negative. I just wanted to point this out. We have been tracking this. I will provide a more extensive update as this develops, but really interesting to see this bounce here just above this trend line, and looks like we're heading higher. No telling where we're going right now. We're just going to have to see where we end up going the next few trading sessions. So back to the video here. I'm going to touch on what this addendum is proposing very quickly. In short, the summary here really sums it up very clearly. So the main idea here is to terminate and revoke any and all approvals and or contracts and or agreements and or relationships with Nebra and all its executive officers, including but not limited to its CEO, Aaron Shaw. Furthermore, impose a lifetime ban for Mr. Shaw to have any involvement whatsoever, directly or indirectly, with the manufacturing of Helium hotspots and or accessories that require community approval. So as you can see, this is a direct shot at Nebra, and even more specifically the CEO Aaron Shaw, having him have, there clearly is an objective here to make sure that he has no impact or relationship with the Helium hotspot manufacturing process. I think that probably is why he ended up commenting on this exact GitHub post. I will put a link to this GitHub post in the description below, but really interesting to see how specific this summary is. Now, there is a more detailed explanation down here, and this just goes into a little bit more detail of what the summary explained: immediate termination of all relationships effectively with Nebra and Mr. Shaw. Now, the implementation down here gets super tricky, because if they do ban Nebra and Mr. Shaw, then there's clearly going to have to be some sort of support for these Nebra miners that are already online, and something is going to have to be done about all the other ones that have been ordered and paid for and not delivered. So it gets very complicated, and they propose some ideas here. Of course, there would have to be more discussion, and this would have to be thought about in more detail if this was to come to fruition. The rationale here is very interesting. Nebra has tarnished the legitimacy and reputation of Helium and caused irreparable damage. Nebra has orchestrated financial hardships for its customers, presumably to the benefit of Mr. Shaw. Seeking Nebra's revocation from Helium and its network is a fair and measured response to Nebra's corporate conduct. The nature of the proposed revocation of Nebra makes this an all or nothing event. Either Nebra's participation in the Helium network is revoked, protecting consumers and the network, or Nebra is permitted to continue to the detriment of the network and consumers. And there's a few unresolved questions and success metrics. You guys can take a look at these. I'll put a link to this page in the description below. And of course, now we get to the comment section. And if we scroll down, we will see Mr. Shaw's first response and then multiple responses here. So here is Mr. Shaw's first response in this comment section. Of course, he is coming to the defense of Nebra, which is to no surprise. We're going to go through some of the key things that I think he says here. First, I'm just going to point out this first sentence he has is extremely, extremely passive aggressive, which sets a really bad tone for the rest of all of what he's going to say. Whilst this is clearly a witch hunt from a disgruntled group of customers, I wanted to address some points here directly. So he's insinuating that people are, first of all, he's insinuating it's a witch hunt, like there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. You guys are just paranoid or something. And then he's actually putting group here with a question mark as if it's just one person. I mean, this just is incredibly passive aggressive. It's really it's not very professional at all coming from the CEO of a company. I think it's quite rude. He should be able to understand that there are so many orders that have not been fulfilled. There's been so many deadlines that have been pushed back months and months, time after time. So he should not be confused about why there is, of course, a group of customers that are very upset. If he wants to see who those groups of customers are, he could look at all of the unfulfilled orders that Nebra has right now. So even from this first line here, it almost doesn't even matter what he says after this. He clearly is not able to comprehend what the customer on the other side is going through, which is really, really concerning. He continues here to say, but at no point, they've delivered all these miners, but at no point have they done anything deceptive. I made a video when I canceled my Nebra order about some timelines that just kept getting pushed back, and I referenced the blog posts and the updates that they made, and it is deceptive if you're telling people if you order it right now you'll get it in July, and then when July comes you're telling them that they're going to get it in September, and then they're not even getting it in September, then now they're getting it in November. I mean, that is deceptive. That is misleading. It is inaccurate. And it's irresponsible for a company to be doing something like that. They should, if they're so professional and they've been manufacturing electronics for 10 years, they should be able to better forecast how many miners they'll be able to deliver and who will get them and when they will get them. The one thing I will note that is that I can attest to is that he says here, if anyone is suffering financial hardships, as you suggest, a refund is just an email away. We have a large support team processing these requests. As far as I can tell from my experience with the one Nebra miner that I ordered, I did send an email, and about a day or two later, I got an email just first asking me to check the updates and the status. And I was like, I don't care anymore. I'm done with the updates and the status. Just give me my refund. And they processed the refund pretty much immediately. So that is the one thing I will say they are doing. They did send me my money back and canceled my order. That is probably the only positive thing that I have taken from all of this so far. He keeps on referencing the number of hotspots that they are shipping in September and October. I think he's missing the point that there are people that ordered in April and May that were told they'll get their miners in July and August. Those are the people right now that are extremely frustrated, and he should be able to understand that and know that it doesn't matter about the absolute number of hotspots you're shipping right now. What matters is the expectations you've been setting since April and May, and the amount of orders you've taken and the amount of orders you have not fulfilled. It's great that they're sending out 50,000 hotspots, and it's the third most after Rack and Bobcat, but how many are still on order? How many are pre-ordered? How many people have not received them? And when did they place those orders? There is a comment here from another individual in which Mr. Shaw responds. The person says, Shaw is here talking about future production capabilities when the stuff they have produced already is so unreliable. It has to be constantly rebooted. He goes on to say the Discord is full of people who have tried contacting Nebra for support for miners that have stopped working, not syncing, not receiving OTAs, constantly have to be rebooted and receive no reply, or replies that are extremely delayed with advice that is irrelevant. So this guy is shifting the conversation a little bit, and Mr. Shaw actually responds, and he just references their support team, and he's sorry that they're not as helpful. But if this is the case and the Discord is filled with people that are having excessive amounts of trouble with the Nebra product and they're not getting proper support, I think that's an issue all in of itself and should be considered. And I think Helium and the community should consider that when thinking about all of this, because that is extremely important. It's not just about getting miners delivered and in people's houses. It's about having support and making sure they work properly, because these things do cost hundreds of dollars, and it's very important that people get the proper support from these companies. He keeps referencing this absolute number when people are talking about the situation and how it's progressing. He keeps referencing the absolute number of units they're shipping, but with no context, that's really no help for us. So I just wanted to point a few of these things out. I think it's really interesting to see him actually on here going back and forth with people. Let me know what you guys think about this, some of the things he said. Of course, if you want to read through it yourself, there'll be a link below. But let's take a look. There's also a petition here for the Helium community to revoke Nebra's HIP 19. I don't know how legitimate this is or if this will actually work, because in order for this to actually happen, Helium would have to get involved, the DWE Alliance would have to get involved. So I'm not sure what exactly this does, but it is here and you could read through it. It's pretty interesting. And if we look here on Twitter, we can see that it's interesting because, of course, we have this problem with Nebra and the company and the deliveries, but it seems as though a lot of people are pointing to Aaron Shaw's past and a lot of the failed businesses that he has had in his career. This person here is saying failing in spectacular fashion, just as Aaron Shaw always does. Check out all his past failed businesses. And if we go down a little farther, this person does not have any good things to say about Aaron Shaw, and he also references 7 other failed businesses that he has had over the last decade, which is very interesting. There must be something more to this character here. And if we go to his LinkedIn page, it's hard to... We do see a lot of different things, but it's really hard to obviously tell if a company has failed or not. But there is a lot of different movement and companies and stuff like that over the past 10 years, as that person referenced. So it's not looking great, but it is interesting to look at and dig a little bit deeper into some of this stuff. So let me know what you guys think about this. What do you think about Aaron Shaw's comments? What do you think about Nebra as a company? Have you guys canceled your orders? Are you waiting? Have you gotten updates? Have you received your orders? Or have you had issues with ones that have been delivered? Let me know in the comments below. I just thought this was really interesting that he was on here commenting himself, and I wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you all so much for watching and being here. Please like if you have not already, and subscribe to the channel as well to help stay up to date in the latest Helium news and analysis. Thank you all so much for being here. But just like that, this video is over, and I will see you next time.